Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
We begin our spiritual teaching this evening with a story about a young boy who went on a European tour with his parents. They were on vacation, and they had the opportunity to see many of the great cathedrals of Europe with beautiful stained glass depictions. When he returned home, he went to Sunday school, the young boy, and in Sunday school, his teacher asked, "What is a saint?" And the little boy thought of all the great, beautiful stained glass that he saw in the cathedrals, and he raised his hand, and he said, "A saint is a person who the light shines through." We are each a window of God that the light may shine through. If we allow that light to shine through, it may and it will. It will. So in Satsang this evening, we're coming together to remember the truth principles that we practice, to remember the truth of our divine nature, which is the awakening of our original light, the light within. The teachings today are from In the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth, one of our great Unity teachers. And he refers in this chapter on the effusion of light. Don't you love that word? Effusion, like the liquid U, effusion of light. And that's just that permeation of light. It just gives that image of that light coming through. And he shares about how Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." And then he shares that, but the disciples didn't quite get it, did they? Did they miss the mark on that? Because they thought, well, Jesus is the light of the world. And they didn't quite get that he was talking about them, that they are the light of the world. Jesus saw everyone as evidence of the true light that enlightens each of us, the light that's coming into the world. He was referring to that light in each of us, and so it took time for the disciples to come around to that greater, deeper awareness. So we're on this quest for light. This spiritual journey is a quest for light, and on this quest, what we're seeking through this light is insight into ourselves, right? Into the divine self, guidance along life's way, knowledge of the secrets of the universe, light being that greater knowledge of the workings of the metaphysics of the universe, and the wisdom to use that light and to not abuse it. We can often find ourselves at a crossroads in life. One of the biggest stressors can just be making decisions. We make so many decisions every day, right? What to eat, what to wear. And think of what to wear as like not really that big of a deal until we have a photo shoot. We had a photo shoot last week at work, and then it becomes of high importance. What am I going to wear, and how long is this picture going to be up, and what are people going to think of me if I pick pink or purple, Get into this deliberation of the importance of clothes and who to vote for. That's going to be a big question that we're all going to be working through this year. And can I live with the consequences of each little decision that I make and how that unfolds? The only decision that we really need to make is to begin. What I notice when I get caught in wondering about guidance is that I can feel the stress build up within me, and that's that stress of feeling stuck, that I haven't begun, I haven't made a decision, I haven't moved forward. So we've got to choose and trust. The poet Robert Frost said, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And so are you willing to take the road less traveled by? What is that road for you? Where will that road lead you into mysterious places? You may see the beginning of the road, and where does it lead? Your guidance, when you begin to listen to that still small voice within, may surprise you with unexpected twists and turns. And yet, when we follow along with that voice of peace and take the direction and take one step after another, we find ourselves moving in alignment with our true divine nature and our divine calling. The effusion of light. I discovered that as I continue to follow that guidance, I continue to become more aware of that presence, because now it's not only expressing in indwelling, it's showing up as the choices that I've made in my life, and feel forever blessed to have followed the guidance to become a unity minister. It was not anything I anticipated or expected for my life until I received that guidance and trusted that it was leading me in love. We can see the flow of light in nature, that there's this guidance that guides nature to just know intuitively what to do to move along with the stages of life. We have the blessing at our house to be nurturing this sweet milkweed plant that we've had in front of our home. My daughter and I planted it in the spring last year, and it had grown quite a bit, full of leaves, and we saw one caterpillar at one point, and we thought, okay, well, is it in the wrong place, or I don't know, were there no caterpillars in this neighborhood? And so we just waited. We're just waiting, and I thought, well, we have this intention we have a love for butterflies, monarch butterflies, and that's what the plant was for, and we'll just keep nurturing this plant. So for months and months, we just kept watering it, kept growing, and then it blossomed flowers. I didn't even know milkweed had flowers. And then, not too long ago, we look at the plant, and actually my husband saw 13 caterpillars on it. Like, it just became overwhelmed. It was just caterpillars, and they were feasting and feasting and feasting. They were just loving it. They came out and it seemed like nowhere, this feast of caterpillars, and they just knew. They just knew what to do, and for days they were climbing all over it and feasting on the leaves and growing, and now they've gone off. We don't know where. We're hoping for an abundance of butterflies around, or maybe they've moved on. I don't see any cocoons, but just amazed to see them just moving along with their guidance, knowing what to do. And Jesus made me think of Jesus' saying, and this is a paraphrase, God so endowed the lesser creatures of life, shall God not so much more endow you, O ye of little faith? I just kind of laugh at that a little bit, and how Jesus said, oh, gosh, your faith is so small that you don't believe that God is going to guide you when God guides those 13 caterpillars to find the milkweed and eat the leaves. I thought, oh yeah. Our guidance requires faith. I've been guided to follow faith in a bigger way, and certainly in answering my call to ministry and being a mom. And teaching this class, Absolute Abundance Metamorphosis, and we're creating our visions. And so the first time we wrote my vision, I wrote it and I looked at it, and I was like, I could do that. Well, my vision is way too small. If I wrote a vision and I just think I could accomplish that, well, yeah, sure, I could get that done. Well, what about if then you incorporate spirit? What could spirit do in my life, in your life? How would that expand your vision and your awareness and experience of light? So some of you know that I had this call to apply to run for the board of Unity Worldwide Ministries, which Karen Tudor used to be the president of. And they called me, and I thought, well, I don't feel like I have the wisdom and experience. And I had to remember, I'm like, wait a minute, what do you do for a living? You're a minister, you teach truth. Don't you think Spirit knows and trust that when it's time, you will be guided and that you're called for a reason? And so my guidance was just to do the application and turn it in, and it's in. I don't know what will come of it, if I'll serve on the board or not. But how it blessed me is that it opened my mind to a greater possibility of how I could serve and serve with a bigger vision for Unity and the work that we're all doing. So I'm just really even just grateful for that call. So think about when you pray for guidance and that big vision comes through. Can you trust that all that you need will be provided for in its right and perfect time? When we pray for guidance, do we really seek guidance or approval of what we already feel like we want to do? Right? That, well, I already made my mind up that it needs to be this way and show up this way, and so I'm just waiting for God to say yes. Well, when we get into that kind of rationalizing, that's usually when we're coming from our ego and our own little needs and wants, and we're basing it on outer evidence rather than seeking a first-hand experience of God, rather than allowing it to flow forth from the light within as guidance. So the kind of prayer that's looking for approval for what you've already decided really actually may block you from that flow of light within. So just noticing that. And Eric Butterworth gives the guidance to just lowly listen, is the way he puts it. Lowly listen, to get still, take your time in meditation, and just be still and know. And know that when you plug in to the silence, to the stillness of the universe, that the universe will respond. The universe rushes in and is ready and willing to give you the direction. According to Walter Russell, who was a very prolific author and a painter and illustrator, a philosopher, amazing scientist from our history, he said, we don't have to learn anything. All we really need to do is to recollect it. Do you sense that? That we're remembering who we are, that we're calling that forth from within? That's our teaching philosophy in Unity, is that rather than to be a teacher and put knowledge, feel like we're putting knowledge into you or giving you information, that it's facilitating the wisdom to come out from each student. So we always approach our teachings with asking more questions than giving more answers, to allow you to remember, to recall, to draw that forth of who you are. So know that divine guidance is a flow of the infinite mind. It is a flow in which you are one, and it's releasing that fear. How do you know if it's ego or God talking? Well, there's that willfulness that comes from the ego. And I want to hear from you when we have our talk back time about what that experience is like for you. So light is that one great ever-present reality which sometimes becomes visible to the eyes. To those who are in alignment, we see the glow, the radiance of that light coming through, which is you being attuned and at one with that energy and in that free flow. So I invite you to know that there are no wrong choices, that whatever choice that you choose through your guidance, if it's not the highest and best, your guidance will redirect and guide you as you go forward, and you will learn and you will grow as I know that I have on this beautiful path that we call unity. Namaste.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.